till it done. It's dope sticks, baby. Yeah. Queen. See, I dey hear many things, them they talk. I dey find waiting, I go chop up. Them go they talk.
Welcome to another episode of What's Up with DJ. My name is DJ. Each week, I bring you topics about current events, career development, holistic living, life hacks, and stories of inspiration and humor. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and of course, review the show on Apple Podcasts. Your comments are always encouraged and appreciated. In part 2 of my conversation with real estate investment coach Pierre and the author of Boundless Success, now available on Amazon, you can find a link to his book and other good information about Anthony and me in the show description. But so part 1 of our conversation, Anthony and I spoke about how he ended up doing 6 years in prison by trying to help a friend. He lost a very successful real estate business and all the things you lose when you are convicted of a crime and you enter the prison correctional system. In part 2 of our conversation, Anthony will explain the lessons that he learned while in prison, how he helped other prison mates, and how he rebuilt his real estate business and ultimately his life. We will go into detail about how prison affected his spiritual beliefs and made him a better businessman, a better family man, and ultimately a better human being.
Sometimes people allow what happened from a parent or a loved one affect their lives so that they can't get over it and they can't move forward. So once I was able to do it, now I can help other people's. And that's what I started doing. And it started when I was in prison, when it started with my bunkie, the first person who really reached out and said he wanted to learn how to invest in real estate. And that was like my first opportunity outside of just teaching people spiritually to teach people from a business standpoint. And I made an agreement with him. I says, look, I'll teach you. But what I want is that I want you to type everything, take the notes, and then type all the notes up, because he worked at the auto school. This is before I even got to the auto school. He was at the auto school, so he had access to computers. So I says, I'll sit down with you, but you got to take all the notes and then type them up. So that way, if some other students want to learn, I don't have to go through all this.
That's great, man.
Right. So he was like, absolutely. So we sat down for 1 hour a week on Sunday for 8 months. And I sat down and I taught him, and he took notes of everything that I wanted him to learn, and he typed it all up. And then I created this system called 4 Phases to Becoming a Successful Real Estate Investor. I ended up turning it into like a 16-week course. And I started teaching it to all the inmates. And before you know it, I had him, then I had 4 people after he finished. And then before you know, I had 8 or 9 people sitting at a table. And finally, the COs and what's going on over there? So finally, my boo was like, man, this is getting insane, man. You need to talk to go talk to the principal. I'm gonna let her know that you're gonna come to her. So went to the principal, said, hey, I got this program. She says, I've been hearing about it. She says, I don't have room here in the school, but let me introduce you to the director of education with Urbana University.
And this is all while you was in prison?
This is all while I was in prison.
Wow.
Yeah. So she said, let me hook you up with the director of education with Urbana University. So I met with the director of education, says, hey, I hear this program. She looked at, she said, oh, wow, I love it. She's like, I got a space for you. I got a class for you. We'll make it a certified program. They can get certified. They can get a certificate at the end of the 16 weeks. And, let's go. And so I started the program, and, the average enrollment for students was about 10 students. 10 to 15 students at the max in the classes. In all my classes, there was over 35 students. I had to have them bring in 15 extra chairs, and sometimes we'd be close to 40 students. Wow. So, the class were packed, and I taught it each semester, and I taught 2 separate classes each semester. So that was well over 70 students. So
how many inmates' lives you think you impacted just in that class alone?
Man, hundreds, because, the crazy thing is that, one of the things that I utilized that platform to do was to shift their mindsets. So one of the things that I would do, which the one first thing I would do in the class, because I would have everything in the class. I have all these, I don't know what different crimes that they would be in there from everything. But what I would do is the first thing I do is I ask them a question. And before we even start the class, I says, if you can have anything in the world right now, what would it be? And then I'll get answers from them, and I'll write them down on the board, all the different answers. So I would do this every semester because I wanted to kind of see if there was a similarity.
Okay.
I would get the similarity. But what I noticed in every class, and even with, is that there was a similarity. Okay. And the similarity was this, is that they never said if they can have anything right now that they never said that they would be free and all the money in the world. That was like freedom was like well let down the line.
So I would assume that would be number one, right? But
yeah, you would think that I would
right?
just be free, right? Now, freedom wasn't even in the top 5, right?
Wow. What
was in the top 5 is they would say is that they will want peace and stability. You see what I'm saying? So peace and stability was like at the top. You know what I'm saying? That became the number one. Like I just want peace. I want to be able to provide for my family. So it was stuff like that. It was all family based and just things like that. But it never was like, I just want to be free. It was like, no, but I want to be able to provide for my family. I want to be able to have stability. I want to have peace. And this was the top. So what I started realizing in the core of all beings, it's not about being rich. It's about just having peace and stability. If it wasn't necessary, let me ask you this. If you can work 2 hours a day and be able to have everything that you need every day in your life, but you won't necessarily ever have $1 million in a bank account. But you have everything that you need, your house, everything you would take it, and all you got to do is work a couple of hours a day, and you can have that, and then you have everything else that you need. Would you take that? Oh yeah. Or you can have $1 billion in the bank account and be miserable. You have a business, and you can deal with the stresses of the business, and you might have to work all different types of hours, and you might have to travel all over the world and do all this type of stuff. You can have that, or you can work a couple of hours a day. You won't have billions, but you'll have peace, stability, and you can be able to live your life.
Yeah, that's what I would take.
Exactly.
I'm wise enough at this at 44. Maybe you'd ask a 22-year-old David, a DJ, and then I would give you a different answer. But at 44, I know what peace of mind, what the value of peace of mind is.
Exactly. So with that being said, man, that was one of the first things I did. The other thing that I did is that I had to help them open their eyes to the challenges that they would face getting out if they decided that they wanted to actually go back to doing crime. So that was one of the things that I had to point out, because I'm here with you. You know what I'm saying? We all did what we did.
Yeah, it's a different it's coming from a different person, someone who's coming in as a contractor and or a consultant and coming in and giving that class, and somebody who's actually there with you. Exactly. Giving that class, that's a whole nother situation.
It's a whole nother ball, because you can't BS me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what it really is. I'm here with you. I done been down 3 years now. I know what's going on. I know what you're feeling. And then what I see on the board really tells me what it really is, because I felt the same way. So we all had it in common. But what I wanted them to know, because while I was in there, I studied law and legally, and I could have overturned my case, but by the time I was done with my case, I would have still did almost 5 to 6 years. So for me, I just wanted to prove a point. But I took my knowledge that I learned from the legal side of it to really help them understand the conclusion. So I told them this, and I start all my classes with this. I said, look, there's 5 things against you if you decide to go out here and do something illegal. And I want you guys to understand these 5 things. So the first thing is that, especially if you go out here selling drugs or whatever it is, you got 5 things against you. The first thing against you is that you have the prosecutor. The prosecutor is against you because, first of all, he's an officer, of the state. It's all politically driven. He's going to make sure that he's going to abide the law, and he's going to put everything that he can down on you in order to make sure that the law stick against you in every which way. He doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your family, he doesn't care about your situation or your story. It makes no difference to him. His whole objective, you committed a crime, so he's going to make sure that you prosecuted at the fullest of the law, and that's why you see them stacking all the cards against you, because they want to make sure you go to prison. The second thing is against you is the judge. The judge usually, in most cases, lack power simply because the prosecutor control it, and he's usually trying to get you to cop out. So therefore, you don't even get the heart of a judge to be able to step in and even make a decision on your behalf, because you're going to end up copping out, taking time. So the judge couldn't make a decision. So the judge is against you too, because he's going to always go with the prosecutor anyway, 90% of the time against you. So that's two things against you. The third thing is against you is the police. We know that the police is always doing all kind of illegal stuff and whatever. And some of them do it the right way, but a lot of them don't do it the right way. But whatever it is, they're going to lie, steal, and chill, whatever they steal, whatever they got to do in order to keep you locked up, in order to protect whatever they did to make sure that you still go to jail. So now you got three things against you. The fourth thing against you is you got your own attorney. And the reason being is that he's an officer of the state first and foremost. So he has relationships with all these people. So behind doors, they're talking about whatever on your behalf. And usually it's not really good. And the reason being is that here's the problem, especially on drug cases. On drug cases, when you get caught, they already know that you're guilty. You already know that you're guilty because you got caught. So in your mindset, you're not thinking about that I'm not going to go to prison. You already know that you're going to go to prison. So when you're paying an attorney, all you want that attorney to do is actually try to get you less time. So you've already been defeated. So attorney could take your money, but does he really have to work hard for you when he already know in your mind, you already know you're guilty or you think you're guilty, and all you're trying to do is fight to get less time? No, so he's not going to fight. Like if you had a murder case where he know you're going to trial, where he actually really got to fight to try to save your life, and he got to take all evidence and things into place in order to be able to build his case. It's not going to be there, you know what I'm saying, when you have these little petty drug cases, because you're not going to trial most cases. So that's the fourth thing against you. And then the fifth thing I always told him that was against him is yourself, because you're ignorant. You have no clue about law. You don't have any idea of what's going to happen next to you. So therefore, when you're getting yourself caught, you clueless. Now you want to become a jailhouse attorney and try to understand law, but you should have became an attorney then beforehand, right?
Right.
So in reality, you got those five things against you always. So anytime that you're going out and breaking law, you got these things that stacked against you, and it's psychology built behind it. And the system is set up in a psychology in a way to psychologically make you, you know what I'm saying, commit to the life that you're about to live. That's why they try not to let you out of prison. They try to make your bond because they want you to get used to prison life. If you got a man that's in a business and whatever, and he gets to get out, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, a lot of times reality is not really going to hit him, and he can fight so much better being free. And then he may not even go to prison because he may be able to fight it better enough in order to maybe eventually get that case thrown out or whatever. But when you're locked up, it limits your ability to be able to defend yourself. And then on top of that, it's already conditioning you to be in prison. So it changes your mind. It makes you think differently. So I would always teach them that immediately, man, because I wanted them to see going into this, I'm about to teach you real estate, but everything that I'm about to teach you, if you actually go out and don't use what I'm teaching you, you're going to be right back here and right back in the same situation. But if you go out and use what I'm teaching you, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, how to get out here, how to actually get right out of here, get started and start buying real estate and be able to create your own business and all these wonderful things. So in these 5 phases, I taught it in a way that I built it around, you know what I'm saying, a spiritual foundation in terms of morally teaching them how to think differently and how to go about investing differently, so that not only they can build a really good business, but they can create these amazing relationships down the line. And one of the things that I realized that was detrimental to prison is that, you know, people talk about rehabilitation, but I always felt like, how could you rehabilitate someone if they haven't been habilitated?
Yeah, and what do you mean by that? Because I know you said that before, and I thought that was so profound when you said that. And so what do you mean you haven't been habilitated?
So habilitated means that you've already been shown the right foundation. So you just drifting away from it. So to rehabilitate someone is to bring them back to where they was. Like, you're doing what you're doing wrong, you did all these wrong things, so we're going to rehabilitate you and bring you back to doing right. But if you never learn what was really right and wrong, if you don't have the foundation on how to actually live, if you don't even have the foundation on how to live, if you grew up with a crackhead mom and you actually going out stealing money just to feed your little brothers and sisters, and you running around here, you know what I'm saying, running errands for dope dealers just to get a few dollars in your pocket so that you can buy food for your house, that's a different life. Are you habilitated? No. So, but then he gets locked up, and then you say we're gonna rehabilitate you. No.
Yeah, rehabilitate what? You know, you, like you said, you have no foundation.
You have no foundation. So the prison system put all these programs together, but they don't put programs that actually go to the root of habilitating someone first. You need to be taught what is right. And that's what I had to even do to myself. And that was the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey was for me to be habilitated first, because I needed to know what I didn't know, and what I was doing wrong first. So then now I learned that, I learned from spirituality, like how to view women differently. So, you know, the way the world view women, you know, we call them different names. We say all these different things. But I learned to actually look at women from God's perspective.
Right.
It was a beautiful thing because it changed my perspective. So now I'm using spirituality to habilitate me, to help me to know, okay, what I'm supposed to be doing. How should I be? Okay, in your eyes, what a father look like. So then I'm learning from our Creator versus actually learning from the world. So it helped me to actually gain a foundation, so that not only did I just look at bit, I looked at the world, I looked at women. You know, one of the things I told myself when I got out of prison, that I wouldn't even look at a woman for the first 2 years, because I understood that the next time I have intimacy with a woman, she needs to be my wife. Before I went in prison, that was I had women all over the place. Like, it was never, never thought like that. Never thought that I could think like that. And the power behind that. You see what I'm saying?
There's a lot of power behind that, because, you know, I think sometimes people get out of prison, and, you know, I've seen, it was one great show was on the Oprah Winfrey network, and it was about life after getting out of prison and the struggles that people go through, because people think it's going to be a continuation of before they went in, and family is coming at you, you know, because they won't, you know, they had their expectations. You know, if you had a family before you went to prison and you're going back to that family of your own, they had their expectations of you. And being in a relationship, a new relationship, that person's going to have their expectations. And to me, when you're fresh out of prison, the only expectation that need to be met is your own expectations. You're trying to get your life back together after being locked up. And I think that's a big mistake people make, because you get bombarded with all this stuff that you're not ready to handle yet.
Yes, and that's the case, and that's why, you know, the harsh reality is I had to let them, you know, and just bring those things out. Like the best chance you have is to change your mindset and stop looking at the world from a criminal mindset, and start looking at the world from a perspective of, how can I add value to this world? And the best way to add value to this world is to give something.
Yeah, some sacrifice has to be made.
Sacrifice has to be made. You have to give something. You have to actually give something into the world. And I would see some of the most brilliant, some of the most talented people.
Hold on for 1 second, because we're gonna run over a little bit, and I need to just let my 6:30 know that I'm going to be running over. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Our conversations are good, man, because I think last time I had to push back one of my appointments. Give me 1 second, because I don't want to
no problem.
have them confused. Okay. All righty.
Okay.
So I think where we left off was, let me just put this up here so I know when we started again. Okay. So we're talking about when when inmates come out of prison and they're bombarded by all of life being thrown at you, when really the only thing that you should be more concerned about is just trying to get yourself to some level of normalcy, because to me, I think that sometimes I haven't been to prison, so I can't speak from my own experience. I'm just saying from what I've seen, that you get caught up in all the drama that pretty much got you into prison. It comes sort of hitting you in the face when you come back out. And I think that's a lot of things what happened with recidivism. That's, I think, one of the things that cause people to go back in so easily, so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, recidivism, can be extremely low with a good support system.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people that's in prison shouldn't be in there anyway, because a lot of them are nonviolent crimes. So the recidivism is probably higher than it would be if a lot of those people wasn't in there and didn't need to be in there. If you're in there for selling drugs, that means that you're just in the wrong business. You need to learn a different business and be able to get out here and be able to make money for yourself in a legitimate business.
Yeah.
If he was taught, the business ethics in terms of what you need to do business wise, then you probably won't practice that. And I tested that when I started teaching that course, because the 5 phases to becoming a successful real estate investor was phase 1, banking and finance.
And this is in your book, Boundless Success. Okay.
Yeah, this right here is just jewels for your listener. This is not in the book. But the first one is is 4 phases to become a successful investor. So the first phase I taught them was banking and financing and understanding the money. Because if you don't understand the money, it makes it difficult for you to be as effective in investing in real estate as you can be once you understand the money. So I taught them the money. The second thing that I taught them was real estate investment strategies. I showed them all the different strategies and how they all link with the money, so that they can actually utilize that. So now that they understood the money, banking and finance and contract, all this type of stuff. The next thing that I did is I taught them about credit. I taught them about business credit and personal credit. And I taught them the power of both. And I taught you how you can use one to leverage the other in order to branch the one off, which is your business credit, so that now you can get the things that you need and start getting lines of credits for $350 or more for your business, simply because of a simple strategy. And then the fourth thing, as I taught them, is about business, setting their business up. And then also about free money, which was government grants and things that they can utilize when they get out, that's available for them as investors, as minorities, that they can actually take advantage of and be able to utilize it to stabilize their business, because they're able to take advantage of those monies in order to jumpstart programs, do different things that they want to do as far as in the business sector. So those were, to me, are the main things that you really need in order to be successful. So they understood all the business structures and how they work once we got to that phase in the program. So they understood which was the right one, how to use it, if they were going to use this for this, if they were going to flip houses, if they were going to do wholesaling, if they were going to just buy and hold, how do you go about it? If they were going to do a combination of all 3, they knew exactly how to do it. And the funny story that I wanted to mention is that me teaching them this, I'm just creating this because I felt like this is what I needed.
Yeah.
If I had this, I would have been much better off, making my decisions as I went through, my investing career. So what ended up happening, which was amazing, is that this is March, I think March 3rd of 2015 is when I got released.
Wow.
On that day, I told my cousin, I said, look, I need to go see my PO. Because I need to make sure.
Your parole officer.
A parole officer. Yeah, I need to go see my parole officer because I want to get that out the way. So she was like, okay, good. So she took me to go see my parole officer. I was sitting down with my parole officer. My parole officer says, hey, Anthony, we're looking at your record. You're low maintenance, so you didn't really get in trouble, nothing like that. So we're not going to really be on you hard. We just want you to check in I think she said she wanted me to send her a text or email every 6 months. And I was like, okay. cool, I can do that and just check in with you. And then I'll always be ready that we can come in anytime. So I was like, okay. She says, but more importantly, I want to know what you want to do, what you're going to do with your life. What are you about to do? Business? What is your plans? And the funny thing about it is that I'm sitting here like, well, I really don't know. I said, I want, I got these certifications, I got these things. I said, but my heart, I really want to open back up my real estate investment company and really get back to doing what I was doing before I got in prison. And she was like, you know what? She said, you're like the 10th person that came in here talking about that they are going to build, they want to do this real estate investment business and that they have this idea of what they want to do. And she's like, and you know what? She said, I have not seen people come in so prepared for how they were going to do it and why they was going to do it and the system in terms of how they're doing it. She says, I was blown away. She says, I had to start asking them, where did you get this information from? And they says, we took a real estate investment program while in prison. She's like, so did you take that program? I says, you know what, to be honest with you, I think that was my program. She said, really? She says, wow. She says, well, look, I want to commend you for what you were doing because I've never seen anybody more prepared coming out in terms of what they were doing. So the reason why I bring that up is it goes back from the beginning in terms of what moved me to teach that course is because I wanted them to not ever sell drugs, not ever commit a crime. So I poured it all in them so that they knew there's no excuses. Here's what you do. I showed them how to take a McDonald's job at making $8 an hour if you got out of here. Here's what your first move should be. Here's what your second move should be. I gave him a 24-month rule. I said, look, 24 months, you know what I'm saying? Give me 24 months. Take what I'm telling you in 24 months. You'll be able to do anything that you want to do if you do these things in the next 24 months when you get out. So for me to be sitting there, I didn't even tell her a plan. I didn't even say nothing about 24 months. I'm just sitting here like literally like, oh, I don't know, and then she tells me this about my students and how prepared they was. So it was funny to me, but at that moment I knew that I had to continue the journey. I knew that, okay, I have to open back up my company. I had to get back going. I have to do it, and so now let's fast forward to 2021. I've done some amazing things in real estate, since I've been home. And then I also authored this book and everything. And I have another book that I finished that I haven't released yet, which is called The Perfect Mirror. But that'll be a book. This book right here is a compilation with me and other successful authors, like 29 other authors. So
and this book here, Boundless Success.
Yeah, Boundless Success. So this book is a motivational, inspirational book in terms of, just helping you see that changing your mindset will change your life. However, as far as on the real estate, I have some powerful things that's coming up down the pipeline. But more importantly, I got the Estate Masters, which is the program that I'm running right now, where I've kind of condensed this 16-week program that I used to teach these investors, the inmates. And then I kind of made it into this super power pack current program that helps anyone who wants to get from A to Z, wants to get into real estate and really wants to get to that first, property and then beyond, and then build a viable business, investing in real estate. So that's kind of what led me to that. But I really thank, that parole officer for telling me that story, because at that moment, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I thought I may have to just go get a job for a while. My mind wasn't even on, I'm teaching them what to do, but in my own state, I'm like, is it really matter? Not that I was worried about if I would be successful or what I would do, but more so it was about, do I even need to do that right now? Like, I can just maybe do this, fade to black, so to speak. Like, I can just kind of disappear and then and be over here and just do me.
So was your confidence wounded a little bit once you got because sometimes when we get caught up in something and then we feel like, we're the go-to guy for a particular thing, and then getting into trouble with, it could be for that thing or for something else. It could scar, I guess it makes you feel like you scarred your reputation. And are people going to listen to me or take me seriously now that I have this sort of scar on my reputation, or however it's better to word that? But how was that something that stayed in your mind once you got out, when you started thinking about going back to that kind of work?
You know what? At that moment, I wasn't really even worried about what anybody thought, because I had already came to the conclusion. See, one thing when you're successful at something and you know how to do it in and out, and you know the inner workings of it, you don't necessarily worry about, because real estate is the one thing that nobody can prevent you from being able to do if you know what to do. You know, so it's not like some politics that could be a barrier that can be put up before me. The thing with real estate is more so building relationships. So I wasn't necessarily worried about future past relationships, because when I was doing business, I always try to do business ethically anyway. So, you know, I figured that, but I also know that you could start a new relationship that can benefit you down today. So I knew the power of me meeting somebody today and saying, hey, I'm Anthony Pierre. I'm a real estate investor. Here's XYZ that I do. And he says, hey, you know what? Maybe I give you a call. There's power in that, because if he calls me now, it creates opportunity. So in that sense, my confidence wasn't really, you know, beat up or anything, because at that time I had 6 years to build myself up to the point when that moment came for me to get out, I was ready. But I was more or less focused more on my kids. That was the scary part. That was the thing that I was more or less thinking about. Okay, I need to have some stability for the next few months, because I want to get my boys. One of my sons was locked up. You know what I'm saying? My other son had just been through some mental issues, you know what I'm saying? And so he was dealing with some stuff. They was having a rough time. So when I got out, it was more or less about me. It was like, okay, I might need to just get a little job or something right now, because I want to get a little place so I can get my boys. So that's what I was more or less thinking about. So I was more or less thinking about stability, not really worrying about if I can get into real estate. But when she told me that, my confidence boosted even more to say, nah, I'm about to go ahead and get my business open. I'm about to open it up right away. So I'm not going to wait, you know what I'm saying, for 6 months or whatever, and just get a job. If I can get a job, great. But I'm about to open my business back up right now. And that's exactly what I did. So when I literally got home, I did two things. The first thing I did is I wrote a book. I wrote a book. And then I actually opened back up my company, and I started the design for what I'm releasing, which is a game app, which is called Estate Masters Real Estate Academy. So I started the inner workers of this game based off of how I was teaching them to make it interactive for kids or anyone to be able to learn how to invest in real estate through a game type setting that allows them to be able to have fun with it and be able to take in all this knowledge and then see this stuff in real life, like, but you in a game, but it's real life. And it's different than these games that you see out here right now, because some of these games give you real life scenarios, but this particular game that I'm designing, that I'm actually, we actually have designed a lot of it. We're about to go into the development stage. This particular game helps you to be able to go in and actually really live it. So for example, phase one, we teach you, you know what I'm saying? It's a game that you play to break up the learning, but we teach you banking and finance and understanding the money in that phase. Phase two, we teach you all the real estate investment strategies and things that you need to do. Then phase three, all those things you learn in phase one and phase two, you actually have to actually take it and do it in phase three, which becomes a beautiful virtual city that you actually go into. And now you actually you have to pick your own avatars, 5 avatars. You pick one. They have a specific situation, and it tells you exactly what their situation is. Well, based off of whatever their situation is, you have to take what you learned in phase one and phase two and complete your mission. So you'll get a mission, and every time you complete a mission, you'll get another mission. And what it does is really teaching you actually everything about business, proper finance management, you know what I'm saying, developing a business, growing a business, all these different things all in one.
So when will this app be available?
Well, this particular app right now, I'm actually I'm actually working on right now. I got a crowdfunding. I got to finish up this pitch deck that I'm putting for this crowdfunding, because we're going to raise some money for the development stage. But we do have the design done. I do have like the video tutorials done that actually teaches you through that. So I have all that done. Now we just get into that next phase, which is developing, phase 3, which is the actual virtual city. So we're about to raise some money and with some investors. I'm about to, do a crowdfunding already set up. I'm waiting on my one partner to send me, I'm waiting on him to send me his photo and some other different things they need to send me about his credentials so that I can upload all this. And then we're going to probably make it live, man. And hopefully we raise the money we need here in the next, here in the next month or so that we can go ahead and finish the development side of it and then hopefully have it ready in 2022, ready to go and out in the market. And it'll be a free game app so that way people can play it and, and be able to gain the knowledge and stuff like that in it. So, but what I plan on doing, because I got a State Masters of Real Estate Academy, my students will be the first ones to be able to interact with it because, we'll be making sure we tweak it over the next coming weeks and months. Once it comes out, we'll do a lot of back tests and stuff like that with them as they play the game and go through the process. And then eventually we'll release it to the rest of the world.
So how can the viewers find you and also take part in your course?
Oh, okay. Well, you can actually go to, Linktree is the best way to contact me. So you can go to Linktree/APIERRE1002. And you should be able to pull me right up. I should come right on up and get all my information there. On there, you can buy the book if you want to. On there, I got a free webinar where I teach you 5 simple steps to making $50,000 or more on all your real estate flips. You can take that. You can actually check that out. And then also I got all my social media links. I got a Facebook group that you can join.
Oh, wow. Okay. Make sure you send me all those links so I can include them in the show description so people can easily access those things.
Yeah, I'll make sure you have the link to Linktree. All those links are on Linktree. So literally it'll go on there and say, join the Facebook group. You can click on that and join it. It says webinar. You can click on that. It says, if you want to purchase the book, click on that. It even got press release on there if you want to check out that as well. So all of that is on there so that they can contact me. And it also has, if they want to get a free 45-minute real estate consultation, you can click on there and then you can schedule an appointment with me and I can sit down and just see where you're at in your life and see if it's something that we can do and if there's a fit and be able to help you be able to get wherever it is you're trying to go.
And this is for everyone. It's not just for people who may have left the prison system. This is also for people who just, want to do better, who want to become entrepreneurs, who want to get involved in real estate.
Yeah, I mean, what I taught in prison was a blessing to the prison system, but what I teach is universal. I don't care where you are in the world. Real estate is universal. I don't care if you in England or if you in Australia. Real estate is real estate. Once you learn the principles that you need, you can go in that market and do whatever you want. So this is for anyone in the U.S., anyone around the world that's really serious about, learning how to invest in real estate. And again, like I said, it's an 8-week course. You can take that course. We take you from zero to putting you in your position so that way you got a viable business set up and you're able to purchase your first property and able to move forward. And the one thing that I do in this program is that I open up my resources to you. So this is not one of those programs where you just learn all this different stuff and we leave you out there. No, when you're ready, when you're at that stage and ready to make your move to get your first house, which we hope within the first 8 weeks you're able to do it because that's our goal.
Wow.
You move fast.
You move fast. Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing is that most people who want to invest in real estate been wanting it for years. So they may not have all the information, but they really want to make it happen. And what happens is that you have to get them success quickly. So for some of them that may want to delay, I always tell you delaying simply because you're afraid.
Right.
And fear is not going to really get you where you want to go. You have the abilities and the skill set right now to run a business if somebody's able to walk you through it and help you. So this coaching program or mentoring program is me actually taking you by your hand and making sure that you make the steps, take the right steps. And once you take those steps, now you're able to do what you've been wanting to do. And now you see that, I actually can do it. And you have support. You're not by yourself. In the program, we have a mindset coach that you have that actually helps you overcome you, because a lot of times the biggest thing that's stopping you is you. So once we help you overcome you, when you have an assignment and you're like, I can't do this. You got a mindset coach like, no, you can't do it. Here's, I'm going to tell you why you can do it. And here's why, and you about to do it. And here's how you're going to do it. And so that is something that we all need in order to really help us to overcome ourselves when we start doubting ourselves and when we start saying we can't. Like me, I have a challenge right now. I got to raise for this part, I got to raise I don't know, 180, I think it's like $170,000, right? So I'm just telling you how mindset working. I was like, man, how I need to get this, how I'm gonna raise this right away. So I started telling myself, like, I'm gonna be able to do this. And then I had to stop myself, like, hold up, man, you done raised millions of dollars. You have, what are you doing? Like, wake up. Like, okay, let's take the steps. See, I would have spent a lot of time doubting myself, and I'm wasting time.
Right.
Instead of actually moving in action and putting energy behind it. Nothing comes to you unless you actually put action out there. So you don't even know what can come your way if you don't put action to it. So if you don't ever try to buy real estate, you never know. You might be amazing at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many things that I have to invite you back to. I mean, one of the things that you hit on was definitely about, how do you, raise money for your business. I mean, that's something that I got to have you back on to discuss in detail, because that's thing that you rarely ever get a course on, and there's so many other things in the interview that you said that just needs its own session of conversation in itself, because it's just its own topic. So, man, I'm just so impressed by your knowledge, because you see, it's not, what I gather from it is that you're not a man about talk. You are about execution. Let's get this done. Let's do it. Let's knock it out. And I really dig that. I mean, that's to me is one of the best things in the world when I meet somebody and they're like, we can talk about this about 15 minutes. After that, let's start getting to doing something to make it happen. So that's amazing to me.
Well, I thank you, man. Like I said, I give all praises to the Most High, man. I mean, in that sense, but more importantly, man, is that I think that we all have these gifts that we have. And I think for me, anytime somebody was talking about doing something, I was more excited about doing it. Yeah. So I can listen to you for a minute, and then my friends would tell you, is like, don't tell P about it yet, because they know me, because I'm gonna be the first one, because they know first thing I'm gonna say, okay, well, we're gonna do it. My buddies was talking one day about doing a podcast, and it was like, we have all these amazing conversations, but we need to do our own podcast. And I says, okay, well, let's get it going. And then they started saying, wait, this. I said, all right, man. Yeah. We're gonna keep it moving,
not into that,
Yeah. So you're absolutely right, man. That's just what I've always been about, man. And I'm about doing it, man. I've helped so many people that didn't believe that they were able to do different things, and then within 2-3 weeks, they done bought their first house, and they like, wow, I never thought I could do that. No, you can do it. You just need the tools. And that's where the power of mentoring is, man. And I know right now, coaching, mentoring, you're probably seeing it everywhere because, right now, we're in a pandemic, people are at home. So everybody is taking their skills and they're trying to put it out there to make a couple of dollars. But on just a serious note, mentoring is the quickest way to curve that learning curve, man, and to shorten it. Yeah. It's the quickest way to do it. So although you may be skeptical on anything, I don't care what it is you want to do in life, you may be skeptical. I suggest that everyone get you a mentor. If it's one that you're talking to that you can't afford, find you one that you can afford, but have an open heart to get that information that you need so that you can get to that next step, because that was the difference for me. And that has been the difference from every person that I met that was extremely successful. And once I realized that, I overcame myself, because I can remember me sitting in seminars with people with mentor programs. And as soon as they get to the money, I'm like, deuces. I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm out of here, right? So I get up and I leave. And it was just one particular time that I was so tired of me trying to get into real estate that I said, my brother, as soon as he started talking about the money, my brother was like, oh, that's our cue. Let's go. And I'm like, I grabbed his hand his arm for the first time. And I said, hold up, stop. Let's just let him out. And he said something to me, man, that is profound to this day. It has affected me 20 something years later. And one of the things he said when my brother sat back down, we started listening. He said, look, he says, I understand that some of you guys can't afford this. And I understand that. And rightfully so. You probably can't afford it. And that is what it is. He says, but some of you guys can afford not to.
Wow.
So for me, that hit me to the core. Because basically what he was saying is that you are at that point where you have to do something. You cannot afford. Your bank accounts is low. You don't have money. You behind. You can't afford. You got to do something right now. You have to figure out how to come up to get this mentor. You have to figure out how to go get this money. Like for me, it made me realize that. And in my account at that time, I had exactly the amount that he was asking for, just a few dollars over. So, you know, and it was like rent and all, like everybody else. I got the same story. It was like I needed that money and probably a few weeks later. But what I did is I says, you know what? I told my brother, I says, we going. He says, well, I don't got no money. I said, don't worry about it. I'm gonna pay for it, right? So I end up paying for it, man. And you know, that changed my life. That was the defining moment right there. When you asked me earlier, like for me to get, that was the defining moment. I did a 3-day webinar. Out of that 3-day webinar, I got all this information. And then with me being already in the mortgage industry, I was able to put all that together. I understood the money. Now I understood the strategies. Now I put everything together and then I created this amazing program where we end up purchasing, like I mentioned earlier, 17 houses in 6 months.
Wow.
You know, one of my first buildings I ever bought, I bought it with no money down. It was a 10-unit building. It was tore from the floor up. I ended up getting the seller to give it to me for no money right up front. He ended up actually giving me the money of like over $50,000 to fix it up. And he did not get a payment for a whole year.
Wow.
So a lot of people say, well, how he's able to do that? That is what I learned, is lessons that I learned from putting in that class that made me put it all together with what I already started learning and seeing. And understanding the money is the most important thing. When you understand the money, then everything else comes to you. And that's why I started laughing when I started getting this feeling like, I got to raise this money in a couple of weeks. And then I had to settle down like, what are you tripping about? Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Let's do it. Right.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. So we all have to have these reminders and all. And I still invest in coaching to this day. I invested this year alone. I invested this year alone probably close to $20,000 just in my education, you know what I'm saying, continuing to understand, because we have an ever-growing world and economy, and the businesses is shifting. What's high? If you get too comfortable in your own zone, then you're gonna end up falling behind or being left behind. And then there's new ideals, new strategies that's being put out there, that's coming out, that's fresh and new. And if you're able to get hold of this information early, it actually can give you an advantage. So, you know, people that are coming into my program, not only am I conditioning you to actually get mentoring, but continue for the rest of your life. Because that's the cheapest way for you to be able to go from this level to that level. So if you get to 7 figures and you've been stuck there for a while, how are you going to get to 8 figures? Well, you probably need to have mentoring from somebody that's at 8 figures.
Yeah, you got to get out of that zone to be able to ask questions. You got to be able to knock on some doors. And sometimes I think that's people's fear, but that's the missing link many of the times, that you are not going to get it by waiting for someone to say, hey, here's my hand, let me lift you up. You got to be willing to say, you know what, let me find someone who's willing to show me how to do this, who's already had that success, already have mastered it, and can now direct you how to do the same.
And here's a tip for your listeners. One of the quickest and easiest ways to get information from anybody, especially somebody that's extremely successful, is to invite them to lunch. I do it all the time with big time attorneys. I take them out to eat. They got to eat.
Right.
I don't want to sit in your office and you charge me $130. Here, man, where are you going to eat at? Let me take you out to eat. Just so we can have a conversation. So now you get an hour of what you can get a $300 an hour attorney to sit down, and maybe you spend $40, $50 for food and y'all eat, and you build a relationship.
Yeah.
Nothing more powerful than taking someone out. So if you got someone that's near you that you're trying to get close to that's successful, just ask to take them out to eat. Start there. And then therefore you'll get a lot of information.
Or a cup of coffee, you know, because I said, if you ask me for a cup of coffee, you'll definitely have, because I'm definitely big on some caffeine.
There you go. So that's
I want to thank you for, thank you for that tip. Thank you for being a guest on the show, man. You have given us so many tidbits of information and gold nuggets of information. And again, I got to have you back on this show, because just some of the things that you said deserves a show on its own, because people just need to know how. I mean, there are things I need to talk to you about some things, because certain things that just impressed me in terms of me building my business, you know, because I'm about execution. I'm about, you know, when we discuss it, then let's talk about doing it, you know. And to me, I see somebody who has that ability, and that's also what's the mantra for them, then I know that you're my kind of people, you know, because that's important to me, about actually not just about talk, but actually doing it and also seeing results.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate that, man. It's been a pleasure, man. I was looking forward to coming on here, man. So thank you for having me, man. And I'm so thankful. And if you want me to come back, just let me know. Give me a topic.
I definitely will, man. I got a couple already written down. Okay.
You taking notes? Like,
oh yeah, man. I've been taking notes the whole time. Okay. So trust me, I will be getting back in touch with you. So thank you for being a guest. I really appreciate it. And thank you. And thank you for listening to the show.
Yeah, man.
Okay.